Always such a beautiful ride, especially after the rain. Green, beautiful. Hear all the birds. There's so much wood around after all the rain. Over 200 millimeters we've had in the past few days. You would kind of excuse me if I said to you that we're in the Amazon. It's just so beautiful, clean, so nice to see the sunshine after all the rains. So I've come down this morning on the half tide, and what I mean by that is that the tide is dropping. And you can see there's a little bit of water here. Lots of overhanging branches this morning because of all the water and the heavy weight of the leaves. Different perspective this morning. I'm down a little bit later than normal. Through the boardwalk here, a lot of sunlight. Very nice. Interesting to see no water here this morning. I was expecting to see water here after all the rain. Also here, no water. But this pool is filled up again. Yeah, which is to be expected. Okay, so this is where the water's been flowing in, kind of creating that new channel. So I'll come down again on the high tide and see what it looks like on the high. But if I look down to the left there, you can see there was running water through there, and there's water lying over there. So I'm presuming on the high tide the water is still coming through here, especially on a spring. But I'll come and stand at the exact same spot later on this afternoon so everybody can see what it looks like on a high tide. Yeah, sadly it's going to be past springs, but hopefully it'll still be some water coming through here on the high. The sea doesn't look too happy, it looks a bit grumpy, a bit bumpy, not the most comfortable sea out there. But we'll head down there now and see what's happening. Yeah, some interesting footprints from a hippo. He's obviously come out of the lake, headed down that way. You can see the tracks heading towards the sea. But obviously last night, as you can see that been lots of rain on top of these prints during the night. You can see it's walked all the way along here. If I just turn quickly, show you, there's the marker that we've always been using, the push bar. And you can see that most of the actual bar itself is now covered with sand again. And if you just look at the direction those reeds are lying, you can see how the water's come over from the side. And this little gully here is full of water now. It's like a big pond. And I'll go over the other side and see what the drop-off looks like down from the top of the dune down towards the water, towards the sea, because obviously that'll make a difference as to how much water comes over the top on the high tide. Alright, you can see it's not that high. So I reckon this afternoon I'm going to get lucky. We'll get some water coming over the top here on the high tide. Tide is dropping, and you can see the flow of the water is strong after all these rains that we've been having. They're looking really, really, really good. So even my fear that one day we'd maybe this mouth's going to close, but not at the moment, that's for sure. There's plenty of water coming out of here. Plenty. It's, to me, pretty wide. scan down. And remember, this is a half tide, so it's dropping. But the speed in which this water is moving is crazy. There's a definite color line from the river, and obviously the other one from the estuary. But it's cruising. Ooh, this water is moving speed. And the channel is growing north, and I think it's as a result of the speed in which this Afalozi River is coming down at. And there we have the KZN wildlife folk just getting there, moving their people from Apalan to St. Lucia. Looks like they're struggling to find the channel. So there's one of my markers that we used at the roots of the tree that at one stage was close to the lip and got washed across with those big seas. And I go across to that one there. You can see it's also got a lot shorter. So obviously the sand is filled up at the base, and that sand has come from here on the left. Those are those clay banks that we could see earlier in previous videos. If I look at this color line here, this good indication of as where the high tide came up. So it didn't actually cut right across into there. So, but it's still a fair amount. You can see the pinnacle here is still pretty wide. So still a fair amount of salt water moving in, but nowhere near what it used to be on those big seas. But what really is interesting is that if I zoom, you'll see the speed of the water coming out of the lake system. So that tells us it's really full. And as I scan to the left, I'm sure you'll be able to see the color line. Obviously I won't be able to stand here on the high tide. But I must say I'm liking what I see. And I have my buddy with me this afternoon. Curious. Shame, they must lose a lot of money when it rains and nobody comes. So sadly, no flow this afternoon. Fortunately, Footy did take some footage on the spring tide, which I'll use, show you guys that the water is actually coming through here on a spring tide. Really nice to see the clean seawater coming through. And right up to the pinnacle there. You can See the color line of the fresh water and the salt. Clear, clear, clear. Quite incredible to see the color line there. And obviously there's so much fresh water coming down that's holding the salt water back, which is not good for getting a lot of salt water into the actual system itself. But really interesting phenomenon to see. I reckon you'll catch fish on that color line. Incredible to see. Yeah, it's always pretty to be down here, but not too many changes. Let's say springs have passed, we're heading towards Neeps. You get a bit of a wave like this, then you get a little bit more salt water coming through. But also, as you get that wave action, so you get the change in the color line moving forward and back. Yeah, nature does its own thing, folks. And until the next video, be safe, everybody.